In the previous episode, we talked about the concepts about the labour market and how it works. In today's episode, I will show you how you can draw the labour market on a graph. The labour market graph looks very similar to the goods and services market graphs. The labour market graph has a demand curve and a supply curve. Where the left axis would normally be price, it is now the wage rate. This is similar to a price axis as it demonstrates the same sort of things, i.e. the price of a unit of labour. The bottom axis is to show the level of employment. Now that we have the axis sorted, we can now move to the curves themselves. The demand curve for labour looks exactly the same as a normal demand curve would, so that's simple enough. The supply curve, however, is the tricky one. For the most part, it is the same. However, at a point of employment, it suddenly goes vertical, meaning that no matter what the price is, the consumers cannot supply any more labour to the market. This is because the economy has reached a situation where labour employment is at its max, or, in economic terms, we have reached full employment. If we keep going along the supply curve, we will then notice that it begins to arc back on itself, showing a decrease in employment at higher wage rate levels. This happens because the wage rate is so high that the consumers in an economy can afford to drop significant hours in work without much of an impact on their standard of living. They drop hours because consumers have got enough means to be not in work and to live happily. For example, Jim may be working for $20 an hour, and so Jim will supply 10 hours of work, earning him $200. The business he works for decides to give him a pay rise to $400 an hour. Jim will then only work for 4 hours, earning him $1,600, because he still receives a higher income, and he now has more spare time for his hobbies. And so, at higher wage rate levels, the consumer will decrease the amount of labour supplied, and so it starts to become backward sloping. In the market for labour, there is an equilibrium where the quantity supplied equals the quantity demanded for labour resources. In the country that I live in, we have a minimum wage rate. A minimum wage rate is similar to a minimum price in the fact that price, or a wage rate, cannot fall below it. A minimum wage rate causes an economy to be out of equilibrium because the quantity of labour supplied is greater than the quantity of labour demanded. This then means that an economy will have a surplus of labour resources, or, in other words, the economy will have unemployment. On the graph, we can find out the amount of people that are employed in the economy and the amount that are unemployed. The amount that are employed are found at the quantity demanded for labour resources. The amount that are unemployed can be found from the distance between the quantity demanded and the full employment line. Unemployment can be split up into two sectors: the amount of labour resources that are voluntarily unemployed and the amount of labour resources that are involuntarily unemployed. We can see the amount of an economy's labour resources that are involuntarily unemployed by finding the distance between the demand for labour resources and the supply for labour resources. We know that they are involuntarily unemployed because labour resources are willing to supply more labour than what is demanded, which means that people who want to work cannot because no one wishes to hire them, and so they are involuntarily unemployed. We can find out the amount of an economy's labour resources that are voluntarily unemployed. We can find this by finding the distance between the supply curve at a price and the full employment line. We know that they are voluntarily unemployed because they are not supplying themselves to the labour market, and so they do not wish to get a job, and therefore they are voluntarily unemployed. A higher wage rate would generally mean that the level of voluntary unemployment will fall.
Alright, thank you guys for watching my economics video. I hope you enjoyed it, hope it helped a lot. If you've got any questions at all, comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I'll see you guys next time.